All right. Whoa, and oh my goodness. This was some message today. I find myself reactive at the end of it, so I'm trying to kind of relax out of that reactivity before I make the recording of the message. But just to acknowledge if you're feeling anything, very deeply today. Wow. it's I'm speechless. Like, the energies available to us are so far reaching and helpful. So yeah, that's where I'd like to put my focus, but I get a little bit surprised in reactivity. So just again trying to relax out of the reactivity end of it. Okay, so I made a note at the beginning. My first thought after receiving this message was, Jesus, this will be funny when or if you reach the end. Okay, the only thing that can die is an illusion. Being fearfully attached to what seem like separate elements in time and space is like participating in a death cult. We are trying to show you a devotion to death that goes unnoticed. Think of being trained to worship death, by your own request, of course. We're not going to pretend that anyone else did anything to you. You're not wrong or bad. You're just confused. The willingness to have everything set straight in your mind is what is called for here, and this is exactly where we can help. We can show you gradually and gently through experience that there is nothing to fear. Think of death as being the pinnacle of your fear worship, or as fear being the pinnacle of your death worship. They go hand in hand, and just stop to pause there as you consider the thoughts that run through your mind. You have been clamped down upon and devoted to something that doesn't exist. Your senses, originally made for fear and death, will contradict us. But your senses can be used by what is real, slowly and gently, to give you experiences that lead you gently home, beyond all fear, beyond all death. I think I have to stop to address something here that, if anybody listens to this and, isn't in this groove, why would I say that my senses were originally made for fear and death? Or really, why does this message come to me? That my senses were made for fear and death? Because, how do I say it? Time and space, this comes from the recognition that time and space were made, not created, imagined. And it's so hard to talk about. Religion is perched on the idea that God created time and space. But if you take a step back and you see God as free of all limits of time and space, and of time and space actually being imagined and unreal by God's child, is the best metaphor I can give you. That's why this is phrased this way. And then it seems like there's a division from the Bible right there, right? But I'm no expert on the Bible, not at all. But I have had biblical visions. And so when I'm taken to a little piece of the Bible, I hear Jesus talking to me, and I understand what he's saying. So even though there seems to be a great divide there, somehow there isn't, and I don't know the answer to that yet. So who's going to show me the answer to what seems to be that great divide? The Bible saying God created time and space, and yet everything in me that is me, remembering that I made it up? Well, who's going to set that straight? Everyone and everything. The reality of what everyone and everything is, what the Bible truly is, what you truly are. Like, I can trust in all of it to set me straight, because there's a reality of everything And then there's the fear I projected upon everyone and everything that distorts it all. So that's what I'm getting in this moment as an explanation for that, for how that resolves itself. Okay, now continuing. When you don't feel good, it's a devotion to fear and death that you feel. You can make a joke out of it. Oh, look, here's my devotion to the cult I made. And now find your willingness to be taken gently by the hand and led away from the madness. What is real is beyond all this madness, and it is ever present. End your devotion to the cult you made and see everyone you call else freed from it. Perfect peace is available to everyone at all times. Think of everyone having a right now conduit to perfect peace. Remember for a moment that they are this perfect peace, and now allow senses and experience to be used by one who knows. This one who knows is spirit, and it can use the tools you made for the death cult to remind you of eternal life. Right now, in any situation, all have this power equally. Let's back up a bit about the death cult. It's important to say that you made the death cult because there is only one of you. So it's not like there can be a division into a guy who didn't make the death cult but is stuck in it, and another guy who did make the death cult and is controlling it. You are all equally the guy who made the cult, and your way out is to take responsibility. To take responsibility is to claim the benign power you all share in oneness. And this is in italics. Usually I use italics for myself interjecting, but this was just emphasized. If you want to help everyone as much and as quickly as possible, then take responsibility to claim the benign power you all share in oneness right now. Responsibility is never blame or burden. It's always the sharing of a very loving power. Imagine looking out at a backyard to see a large group of kids all playing a game together. While the game is very real to them, it's very clear to you that it's only pretend. You see that eventually they will stop their game and go home. No children's game can last forever. Looking out at that yard, this is you looking at the death cult you made from the outside. You can see them playing. You can see that no harm is actually being done, nor ever has been done. But you can see that the harm and the reactions to it are very real to the children. And as you see clearly that the game itself can be used, and you can see clearly that the game itself can be used to remind all the children of their beauty, their innocence, their peace, their oneness, and also of the game itself being unnecessary. Looking at this game, this is the decision you get to make today. The game can continue as originally intended, or it can change course. It's all up to you. Now we are calling it a children's game, whereas before we called it a death cult you made. What are we up to here? When we began, you were in the game. We needed you to recognize your oneness with all the players, to gather all that you would call harmful, and to take responsibility for it in the sense of allowing the power within everyone and everything in the game, the benign, innocent power, to become obvious and flow forth. If you are victim to anyone or anything, how can you do this? Fortunately, no one in the game is victim to anyone or anything, and you all have the same power to change the course of the game. Now, here, outside of the game, you can feel that there is no fear and there is no death. You are here with us. Visit as often as you like to be in the place where there is no fear and there is no death. You are always here. It only seems that you leave. Pretty soon you will be back in the game, but you will bring with you the fragrance of this place where there is no fear and there is no death. Your character does not have to be particularly heroic in the story. The most important thing is that the character brings with it the fragrance, the wisp, the melody of what everyone can remember. All you have to do in this game is to remember who you are together, and then the idea of feasting on fear is as preposterous in any situation as it is right now. A word about what you're bringing to the game. You are not bringing a message of the death cult game being the greatest in the world, a message of happiness coming from the death cult game, a message that the death cult game offers rewards that anyone would want. That is not the message you bring. The message you bring, just as the flash of a melody, is that there is something much bigger than the death cult game, and this something much bigger is the happiness that never went away. You're sharing memory of the real, and you're not pretending that the game itself was ever any source of happiness. This is how the game becomes a happy game. You allow the memory of what is to wash away. Okay, sorry, I got confused. You allow the memory of what is to wash away what isn't and never was. So what was once devoted to the impossibility of death and fear becomes a very direct reflection of the happiness that never went away. The only thing that can be shaken is an illusion. Even as you play your game with your divine siblings, what they are is very stable. Think of who they truly are. This is the stability you all share. This is the skill you are developing now. Think of it as a gift-giving skill to be able to look into anyone and see and celebrate the deep stability that is the truth of them. And at this point, I stopped to pray, which, is still kind of a funny thing for me, the idea of praying, that if this ability to bring words through in this way is not in alignment with divine will, that the ability disappear immediately. I saw very clearly that I have no need for any abilities that would be used by anything but the love we are together. So I spent a while asking, what is your will for me? And I spent time with Jesus, and then it felt clear to continue. But I did have these moments of suddenly like, what is this? What is happening? And I really had to go into a place of deep calm and just pray, like I don't want to be involved in anything that it doesn't come directly from what we are together, like only the truth now, please. And then I felt I could continue. Okay, so as you give this gift, you receive it. As you can look into anyone and see way past the game, so you can look at anything and do the same. The edges of the game are no limit to your vision. I, Jesus, and at this moment I realized, okay, it seemed like my light friends were talking to me, and now it's Jesus. Okay. So I'm sharing my vision with you as I can share it with all. It can switch back and forth like that. I'm usually used to insisting that it stay kind of nebulous and like my light friends feel safe, and then I don't have to say Jesus. And if you oh boy, what kind of can of worms am I opening here? If you have any sense of other lives, and if you looked at other lives in which you said Jesus and it seemed like maybe that was not the safest thing for you to say, because it seemed like an attack followed your naming Jesus, this is the time to let all that up and out. And it's not just in this lifetime, in what seems to be 2025. Is that where I am in time? 2025. That like it would be embarrassing to say Jesus, or I would get categorized as religious if I said Jesus, right? No, this is the time to just let any fear attached to the word surface and pop like a bubble, because this is for me. Every message is for me, but it's also shareable. But I really have to if I'm going to let my resistance to you go as my divine sibling and be able to see into you and see the stability you are and not be fooled by any fear I'm projecting on you, I have to do the same with Jesus, my brother. He's my divine sibling and right here just as much as you are. So I think that's part of the narration switching. And I definitely got reactive and had to keep stopping and, dealing with that. Okay. I'm not sure where I stopped. Keep your divine siblings in sight as the family they are. When you feel tempted to exclude one from your divine family, call on me. I will show you what is true and what is not true. And now the memory of a vision of Jesus. He had a sword in this vision. It came back to me, and I just shared this memory with someone on Facebook yesterday, so I pasted it into the message. I don't know the Bible very well, so it's always funny when I have a biblical vision. I always need to go on a hunt afterwards to take a look at the reference. So Jesus was there in my vision, and he had a sword. I didn't feel fearful or threatened, but I did feel puzzled. In front of me were a bunch of spaghetti noodles, and I soon understood that each one of these noodles was a thought. I was sitting with the spaghetti noodles in front of me, and Jesus was standing on the other side with his sword. He began to pick up each thought with the tip of his sword, and that was kind of funny. And then I noticed what he was doing. He was sorting my thoughts into two piles, loving and fearful. And I suddenly felt so grateful. Jesus was there helping me with his sword. And you can say Yeshua if that feels more comfortable. I know there's this whole segment within us where we just don't want to say Jesus, and then we'll fall back into what seems like a softer Yeshua or Yeshua or however it comes through you. Okay, but it's our divine siblinghood. That's what it is. Okay, so he was helping me with his sword. Where am I? Okay. He was helping me with his sword/sort. The words are so close. And there was no threat. Just such immense gratitude for his help. And then what I eventually looked up after having this vision and found was, do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. And so my sorting this out for myself in the message, the paragraph that is from me. Okay, so this is the apocalypse. It's just the sorting out of loving thought from fearful thought, which is a sorting out we all need, and we can be grateful for it. There is literally nothing to fear. All our fear images are nothing, but they seem like something to us when we are devoted to fear. So as we learn to switch our devotion from the death cult to what is truly here, the apocalypse is only a sorting out of thought. And we're in it right now. Our thoughts are being sorted out into loving and fearful, and it's a service. It's for us. So the peace is what we've hidden with our fearful thoughts. So in that sense, Jesus doesn't bring peace to the earth. We who seem to be on earth remember the peace we are, and so we begin to share it and allow it, a reflection of it, to come forth, because we remember peace is all there is, love is all there is. There isn't anything else. So it's like we let everything else fall away as the illusion it always was. Okay. So back to not me. Where there seems to be a divide is no divide. So yeah, I guess it's not me. Wherever you feel not good, here is your devotion to the divide, your devotion to the death cult you made, your devotion to what is not here, but very much seems to be here. And deep within you, in the true self, capital S self, you share with all, is your devotion to the divine. It never went anywhere. It was never interrupted. You love God with a full and free love, and nothing, no game imagined, could ever change that. I am teaching you to focus upon the devotion to the divine that never went anywhere and that does not have to be imposed. And in this rediscovery, you naturally share beautiful gifts with all. I love you as you love all, and I have full faith in the memory of what we are reaching everyone fully. Come and sit with me whenever you have the need, because I never leave. All right, so that was it. Thanks very much. Oh my gosh, it took 20 minutes. Yeah, I looked at the clock after receiving this today and thought, where did the day go? Okay, that's where it went. Wishing you well.